Okay, well, we might as well get started. Thank you, folks, for coming out to see us once again. This is our public meeting number 3 for this West Land Use Area Plan work. So appreciate your time, appreciate coming out on a beautiful day like this. Again, I'm Chris Shires with Confluence, hired by the city to assist with this project, and Patrick also with Confluence here as well. We're going to give you a quick rundown of where we're at with the project. We're going to start with a recap of what we've done to date. We're going to talk about the refined or final draft of the land use plan. Nothing's been adopted or accepted by the city, but this is the final draft of this proposed revised land use plan for the West Land Use Area. We're also going to talk about the proposed conceptual master plan that you've seen out in the hallway for this area, and that purpose of that master plan is really serving as a planning tool that we can make sure that we've adjusted the fine edges of the land use plan, that we have buildable areas, that it makes sense, and most importantly, that we can size and plan for utilities and stormwater management. And then we're going to run through a little bit on where we're at on the design guidelines, and then what our next steps are from here. And then after this meeting, we're going to stick around if anybody wants to go back out in the hallway and go through our existing boards and the proposed land use plan as well as master plan, and give us your thoughts and comments. We've been writing them down on the board as we go. Happy to stick around the meeting afterwards. All right, so where have we been? Where are we now? Where are we going? Here's where we're at on the big schedule. We're almost done. We're getting close. So we've had those 4 phases of this project. That first phase was analysis, data gathering, public input. And then the second phase, where we spent most of the time, was this land use planning and master planning. And then included right now is this design guideline phase and zoning for this area. And this is where we implement those big ideas, those great ideas of what we want this area to look like, what are the architectural standards, what are the building setbacks, how do we handle open space. And then last but not least, this phase 4, this is where we're re-reviewing the existing sanitary sewer fee district, the stormwater fee district, and the water fee district.
As well as planning infrastructure.
Yes, thank you.
It's not just about the fees, Chris.
Yeah, it's not all about the fees. It's also, again, planning for that infrastructure. Okay, so as you guys many of you were involved with, and thank you for your comments and input. We've done initial gathering. We did that market analysis, that market study, to help us figure out what room we have for growth. You might recall that it's great to be Coralville. We have a lot going on here. We've already had public input, and then individual meetings with stakeholders, individual property owners. Obviously, the city's been reviewing that. We took a bus tour, some areas around the Minneapolis suburbs, seeing some opportunities of good development that we might want to replicate in some manners, some bad things that we want to watch out for, stay clear of. And of course, we've drafted that land use plan and this conceptual master plan in this phase 2. So phase 3 and 4, this is design guidelines and utilities, infrastructure, not just the fee districts.
It's number 1 on the list.
That's right there, infrastructure analysis. Just a reminder, there's that current land use plan from the community plan that's currently adopted. So this is what's on the books right now, and we're not starting over. We use this as the basis for that new land use plan that we've drafted, but it's definitely much more refined, a much more specific, more microscopic look. And there it is. You've seen this out in the hallway. This is the biggest change, is we've gone from big mixed-use area in the middle to a big single-family area in the middle, and a lot of that is reacting to public input as well as what the market study said. And so then this graphic here shows those differences in those land uses between the old and the new. So we did up the percentage. So red is what we're proposing tonight, kind of that aqua green, blue is what the current plan has today. We did jump in open space. We did hold the same on industrial. I'm sorry, clicked the wrong button. We did drop a little bit in office, because we know the market on that's a little bit tighter, but we didn't want to give up the opportunities along the interstate, so we do still have office land designated. Pulled way back on mixed use. Mixed use is a tough animal. That's where you typically have a building that has first floor retail, office, the upper floors, or some type of residential. Medium density, just a little bit down, but where we made a big change is really increasing what we're calling low density residential, single family houses. Any questions on what this graphic is showing? Okay. A lot of that's old news. What I think is kind of good is to compare this on a percentage basis. Even though some of those individual changes look big, really when you kind of compare between the percentages, it's not a dramatic change. We generally have that same mix. And these mixes of uses are pretty consistent. We're a little heavy, in fact, talked about this a little bit earlier tonight, a little heavy on open space in general, but in a city where you might have a large river running through it or a large floodplain, having that much land designated for open space as a percentage is not unusual. Okay, and with that, Patrick.
Excuse me. Thank you. I get the fun part. I get to talk about the pretty pictures. We're going to break this up into quadrants, and we'll kind of go through each piece individually. You've seen the larger full-scale plan out in the lobby. So some of this will not be new. We'll try to go through it at kind of the 30,000-foot level, and if you've got specific questions about any of what we've done from a planning perspective, please hold them and come out and ask us those questions out in the lobby where we can give you kind of one-on-one attention. All right? Here we go. So we'll start in the northwest quadrant. The big change that the plan reflects is the proposed future interchange at Forever Green, and then the associated corridor commercial that we expect will develop around that interchange. We would expect a lot of similar land uses to what we have up in North Liberty on Penn and 380, so the gas station, some strip commercial, potential for a hotel or a big box store may exist up in that area. Kansas Avenue, as it extends from North Liberty to Forever Green Road, will continue south along the western edge of the land use area. And this really is the major arterial that separates commercial or corporate office, from the other land uses in the development. So you get primarily corporate office along the western edge of Kansas, between 380 and Kansas. This is Oakdale Boulevard here on the south. And then we have our mixed use area planned for this location at that main intersection between Oakdale and Kansas. You see a large kind of open space that is part stormwater management system and part public open space, accessible, entertainment area, a place for people to gather. And then it transitions as we move east from that mixed use into medium density single family. These are 50-foot lot single family homes, potential alley service, garages in the back kind of configuration. And then as we cross over the next arterial, then we move into the lower density single family residential. Multifamily up here that fits into that medium density land use area. and that's the highlights for this northwest quadrant. Here we go. Northeast quadrant. Obviously, the biggest element in the northeast quadrant is this open space. And this is an ecologically sensitive area, steep slopes, a lot of opportunity for hiking and walking trails in this area that don't have a major invasive impact on the land area. It's a little over 180 acres, so very similar in size to Hickory Hill Park in Iowa City, and presumably managed in a very similar way. Think natural area, don't think a large manicured park. One of the other things that we're showing on this plan is a potential dog park. This is University Parkway, so let me orient you. Coral Ridge Avenue, 965 here in the east, University Parkway, the state corrections facility, and some of the state DOT land. And this is the Grand Rail development on the south in this corner here. So this is then Jones Boulevard as it extends up to the north and connects at Forever Green. We've got low density single family residential here. You can see the continuation of that low density single family residential here. These are the larger lot. I don't want to call them estate homes because they're not quite that scale, but these are certainly the higher end single family lots in the development. I've got a fly that is buzzing around my head, and so I'm a little bit distracted. I apologize. And then up here in the far northeast corner is again, commercial, medical office kind of support facilities that we would expect to aggregate in this area if the hospital wellness campus comes in on the far northeast. Any questions?
So you're not showing Forever Green Road on this?
Forever Green Road is under the dash line here at the very top. Or am I'm a little bit south. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm a little bit south of that. Forever Green Road is here, and then the property boundary, the limits of the project area are here at the dash line. Correct. Oh yeah, you know, I probably should. It kind of got halfway cut off on the image. So I'll switch between the two. Thanks, Dan. This area here on the plan corresponds to this area here. This is planned preliminarily as an elementary school type site with associated rec fields and open space. The idea here being that Clear Creek Amana is expanding beyond its boundaries quite quickly. This would be a great opportunity to develop a property within the West land use area that would serve this part of their service area. So we've got a lot of students in their district that come from Coralville now, and we expect that you'll have a lot of families in this area too, and that school will help to serve that and alleviate some of the pressures on their existing system. The last thing to point out is this little icon here is representative of a signature bridge, something iconic that introduces a gateway element from the open space area in Oakdale Boulevard into the single family residential neighborhoods and then again into the mixed use area. In the southwest, I-80, 380 here on the west. This is Highway 6 as it comes through. Existing industrial land uses continue along the corridor. Corridor commercial is still scheduled as a part of the land use here. What we're showing are largely strip type centers that, because of topography and limited access off of the highway, have parking fields and access to the north and are serviced from the arterials more so than from Highway 6 itself. And then you're seeing some infill development in some of the areas along Highway 6 that are either currently vacant or have been vacated, as well as West Core Drive continuation and some development along there. Then we have the higher density residential land uses here. This is the existing retention area. Higher density land uses, apartments, townhouses that create that transition from single family into the higher density area here, and then a continuation of open space as a part of the drainage infrastructure and stormwater infrastructure from that large 180 acre open space south as it connects down to the creek. And then you have a little bit of corporate over here in the west.
What are you showing on Western Hills?
So Western Hills right now is shown presently as medium density transitioning to single family lower density. This is obviously long range planning for that area. The idea being that this plan wants to show what it could potentially be in the future, not knowing what it's going to be in the short term, other than what it currently is. And then finally, the southeast corner. Obviously, this is largely existing, very little infill development here. You're seeing some forthcoming development along Jones Boulevard. This is existing and ongoing work here at the roundabout between Oakdale and Jones. And then you're seeing a small mixed-use area that is intended to serve a lot of this higher density residential and some additional corporate ground here in the middle that then is the buffer between the high density and the low density residential. And we expect additional commercial development to occur on the southeast quadrant of that roundabout at Jones and Oakdale. And then we have multifamily high density development down here with the townhouses, the proposed church site, and then existing commercial along Highway 6 here at the intersection between Jones and 6. Any questions about this quadrant? All right. So where this is the pretty picture that gets people excited about what it could be, the design guidelines is all the verbiage and regulation, so to speak. This is currently in development and is coming together quite nicely. But I wanted to just share briefly what some of the content of this will be. As Chris mentioned earlier, it's going to address the overlay zoning as associated with the land use and land use, or the land uses in the development. It's going to look at the circulation guidelines. This is in concert with what we've done with our civil engineers, traffic, and stormwater. Landscape standards, open space buffering are all included as a part of the guidelines, as well as screening. And then the architectural design guidelines that we talked about at the second public meeting are taking shape and will be included in that, and will address things like building form and scale, detailing requirements, and so forth, materials, application. And then finally, we have our stormwater and signage guidelines that will be included as a part of that. And as this continues to develop, we hope to make drafts available for review, but it's fairly dense and not something to necessarily share on screen in this kind of a format. All right.
Okay.
Lester's specific questions, it's all yours.
Yeah, so next steps, again, what we want you to do is feel free to come visit with us out in the hallway. We want your comments on that master plan, on the land use plan, things for us to consider as we're formalizing the design guidelines. This presentation will be on the city's website in the next couple of days, so you'll be able to see that master plan and the land use plan, and of course continue to share with us your comments. And then moving forward, we'll be posting the design guidelines and then hoping to get specific detailed feedback and comments on that. And as well as finalizing the stormwater, sanitary sewer, water system plan, master plan, as well as then those connection fee districts. So any questions as far as what we've gone through right now? Please.
What are the plans for Highway 6?
In particular?
Handling the increased capacity that's happening now and will continue to happen.
Yeah, great question. So what's in the plans for Highway 6? If I can get back there that fast.
There you go.
Obviously, the future plan does show additional road connections. In the design guidelines will be some statements about signalizing intersections. You don't signalize intersections until they meet warrants. And so any detail beyond that's a little bit out of our scope. So I don't have anything more specific than to say that we will have intersection driveway spacing standards, as well as identifying those future signalized intersections in the design guidelines.
To follow up to that, would part of that include any guidelines for turning lanes?
To some extent, yes. There's still, it comes down to the individual situation, the individual design for doing, say, a center turn lane or deceleration right turn lane. But the guidelines do have some general intersection statements about speed and spacing and stacking of cars. But any actual intersection constructed would be something that need to be engineered and designed.
So with more construction on West Court Court, there's a railroad track that goes through, and if the train stops, you have no exit. And many times our employees have waited for 45 minutes to get a train, and it seems like kind of a safety issue. If there's an emergency, what would we do? And with more development, there's going to be more people on the other side of the track.
Absolutely, great comment. I think that's Iowa Interstate's line, is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's a question we're just going to have to write down. I don't have an answer for you on that one, but that's a good point. Any other questions or comments as far as what we've gone through? Okay, so again, we're going to get this on the website. Look forward to your feedback and comments on it as well. And then over time, be posting those design guidelines and getting the final answers on the utility plan and fee districts. And please do meet us out in the hallway. We'll stay as long as people want to talk. Okay, all right. Thank you very much.